Can you believe it? It doesn't exist anymore. Violent crime in DC just doesn't exist anymore. At least if you ask Everytown and Giffords. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Katie Stone, and this is Stone Second Sense. Now, without further ado, we're just gonna dive into the, Anyways, Trump is lying, they say. Fact check. Violent crime in DC dropped 35% in 2024 and is now at a 30-year low, which is fantastic. Federalizing the DC police and deploying the National Guard to fight a crime surge that doesn't exist is yet another obscene political stunt and abuse of power by the Trump administration. This does nothing to keep Americans safe. Tell that to the people that were getting beat, and carjacked last week, or, whatever. Let's move on. They go on to say, you cannot pretend to care about reducing violent crime while gutting gun safety measures. You mean unconstitutional gun laws that make us less safe? Because that's exactly what they do. They gut our freedoms and they make us less safe. Pardoning hundreds of violent felons who attacked law enforcement at our nation's capital. They're talking about, 1-6. And slashing funding for law enforcement. Goes on to say, Trump's claims about violent crime on the rise go beyond hypocrisy. They're a dangerous attempt to rewrite history and grab power while our communities pay the price. What's the point here? If he's bringing in police and the National Guard to make things safer, how is that the community suffering? I'm curious. Like, you guys let me know, what in the world are they even talking about? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You would think having a better police presence would make everyone safer. Gun law restrictions are for police and law enforcement and military. So if the police are not making things safer, then why do they have these exemptions to these gun laws? I'm just curious. You guys let me know down in the comments, because, they said it, not me. But let me show you something else that I find interesting. So, they say it's dropped 35% in 2024 and it's at a 30-year low, which I think is fantastic. Which is why I'm going to show you this. This is the FBI chart. I want to show you guys something here. It says from 2010 to 2025. I mean, we could go out 30 years, but this is just what I pulled up right here, okay? District of Columbia. And this is a chart here. You see 2012 to 2020, or 2024. So in 2016, you see how rough, in 2016, 2015 was rough, 2016, but there's a huge drop between 16 and 17, which I find very interesting. What if it has anything to do with this? Until 2017, one of the requirements to receive a concealed carry permit in the district was that applicants needed to show a good reason to fear injury to his or her person or property. In 2017, that requirement was struck down by a federal appeals court. Anyone else find it interesting that until 2017, you had to ask permission and come up with a good reason to have a firearm? And when that was struck down, all of a sudden, there's this huge drop. I mean, we're talking about like roughly 2,000 drop here of violent crime. Does anyone else find that interesting? You see here, there is a little spike here, 2020, they don't have anything for 2021, which is very interesting. I don't know what's going on there. And then it spikes back up in 2023. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, maybe who was president. I've no idea. If you guys know who that was, you let me know down in the comments. Or if it has anything to do with maybe all of this. Because I have no idea why we would have a surge when you have wonderful things like that. Because that doesn't make sense at all. I mean, if it's safer and you have all of these new gun control bills, like the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, you would think that it would immediately go down, and there wouldn't be a huge surge, because this happened in because the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act happened in 2022. So if it really did help, you would think you would see a huge drop in 2023 and not the opposite. Wonder if that has anything to do with who is president. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. You guys let me know down in the comments. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm doing this longer video is I think it's very important that we focus and we pay attention to the fact that they're wanting to spew things like this. They're wanting to spew things like this, and they're wanting to say that, it's all made up and there's no such thing as a power surge. And ladies and gentlemen, not a power surge, a crime surge. And ladies and gentlemen, we hear on the radio, no one listens to radio anymore. We hear on the news all the time that there are carjackings and there are, people getting armed robbery and things like that happening in DC all the time. All the time. And yet they want to completely, pretend like it doesn't exist. Personally, I think, hey, if you guys if you guys want to do away with all the gun control there, that might be a good start, seeing as, it is in fact a mess there. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, all of our big cities have a problem with violent crime, and it's time to clean it up. And if Trump wants to start with DC, I think, hey, let's have at it. But I want to know your thoughts down in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we pay attention to what's going on. We pay attention to the nonsense that they're spewing. I mean, they're telling us that we need more gun laws, we need this, we need that, and all of this nonsense. But then when it comes down to us cracking down on the actual violent crime, like Trump's trying to do here, they're like, oh, we don't have a problem. There's no problem. We don't need anything. Everything's great. The gaslighting and the trying to throw us off is ridiculous, honestly. And I think it's important that everyone wakes up and realizes that it's all about control, it's all about lies, it's all about nonsense. It's just what they can make you believe. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired of it. I am so tired. They want to tell us that this is going on and that's going on, and then when we show them facts, they're like, oh no, that can't be the case. Personally, I have had an absolute enough of all of the nonsense. I'm tired of Giffords throwing fear around and fear-mongering every single day, and then when it comes to Trump stepping in and be like, hey, we need to make the streets safer, they're like, nah, we don't have a problem. The amount of just gaslighting and nonsense, it floors me. But that's it. That's what I have for you today. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. So let me know down in the comments. And do you guys want to see more of these long forms? I know hopefully I'll get better at them as we go on, but I'm curious, do you like the longer format? Do you think I should do more of these? Let me know down in the comments. Do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for my shorts. Have a good day.